Welcome back to the podcast where passion and purpose collide. Today, we are with a very special guest and friend, Nancy Friedman. Nancy is the founder and chairman of the Telephone Doctor Customer Service Training. She's a popular keynote customer service speaker at franchise corporate meetings and conferences across the country. During the pandemic, she has become more specialized in virtual Zoom programs and fun webinars. So she is forged right ahead through all this crazy time this year. Welcome, Nancy, to the show. We're really excited to talk to you.
Ain't nothing gonna stop this lady.
No,
Forge ahead, yeah.
That's right.
They gotta use the cane to take me off. Good to see you all. Good to see you all.
It's great to see you. And you know, one thing we wanted to dive right into is you had a health scare last year, and I was in contact with you during kind of waiting to get the outcome of it. But you've learned a huge lesson from that about advocacy in your healthcare. So tell us about that story and tell us about that lesson, because I think it's something women need to know.
Women need to know, men need to know.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom line is when February hit, February a year ago almost, Dick and I have always gone to a gym, 16 years, twice a week, without fail, bitching all the way, but we went. So bottom line, came June, I said, Dick, we're not going to go, actually it was March. I said, we can't go to the gym. Let's dust off the equipment downstairs because we weren't using it. And let's do our exercise downstairs. He said, that's great. So last August, we were on our own. It was great. We've got it all there. It's a mini gym, and we're very blessed to have it. So I was doing 15 minutes on each thing, the treadmill, the bike, and there's a health rider. And I don't know if you know what health rider, it's for the abs. And I thought I was 35 years old. So I started doing it like the ab people do, real slow, 15 minutes, 5 days a week. Man, I'm going to have abs. Well, what I got was the horrendous muscle pain I've ever had in my life. So a week after the ice and heat, all the blah, blah stuff you're supposed to do, I called the doctor. She said, heat and ice. Okay, heat and ice. And a week later, there was still horrible, horrible pain. I said, now what? She said, well, give it another week. And I am an advocate for myself, and I don't have patience. You know your own body. We all know our own body.
Yeah.
So finally, after 3 weeks, I went to the main doctor and I said, something's not right. This shouldn't be 3 weeks. It just, muscles are muscles, and there's not even a little bit of betterness to it. He said, well, let's get you an x-ray. So I went downstairs for an x-ray. The next morning I come in and there's one of those portals from the doctor. Your x-ray shows an abnormal nodule. What the heck is an abnormal nodule? And he said, well, we won't know until we biopsy. So 2 days later, I'm getting a biopsy. Dick comes in, he's got a big smile on his face. Okay, nodule, he says, well, it is stage 1 cancer, and you're going to need to have it removed. And I said, what's involved? He said, well, they'll remove the top lobe and whatever else needs to be done. I said, just get it out of me, get it out of me. So 2 days later, not 4 days after I went to the first doctor for the chest x-ray, I'm in the hospital and they removed the top 20% of my lobe and whatever. No, that's all. But the benefit is, the good thing is no chemo, no radiation, and no restrictions. So I hadn't had an x-ray in 6 or 7 years. The doctors have stopped the yearly x-rays. Now the men get a PSA every year. We get a mammogram every year. I get a pap smear every year. I want to advocate for a chest x-ray every year. That stuff grows and we don't know it. Do you realize, and I wrote the article, how COVID saved my life.
Right.
If COVID hadn't been here, we would not be talking. That little nodule would have grown and grown and grown, and it's like pancreatic cancer and liver. There's so many that you don't get a hi, I'm here. It's on your skin. You can tell. You get a lump in your boob. You can tell.
Right.
I cannot advocate enough to watch. Your own body, ladies. Men too. You know what's wrong. And the feeling of oh, it'll go away can only last so long. A friend of mine, I think I mentioned it to you. I was telling her the story. She says, I haven't had a mammogram in years. I said, why not? She says, well, my arm hurts and I can't put my arm up here. I said, Joyce, little people get mammograms.
Yeah.
Kids get mammograms. Short people get mammograms. They can raise the thing for the arm. And it was like a revelation. Oh, she any excuse not to get one. So I don't want to spend too much time on it. It was a blessing in disguise. I am very grateful. and I love to tell the story only because if it can save somebody's life, when you go to your doctor and they say, thank you very much for coming in, say, where's my chest x-ray?
Yeah.
You have insurance. Where's my chest x-ray?
Yeah. And Nancy, the thing is, we hear that phrase around, your body, listen to your body. But I think the missing link is we don't always act on it. As women, we're busy, we're taking care of kids, we're working, we're doing whatever. And you blow these things off. You just
I have
think,
never blown.
But if you've exercised all your life, you understand what a sore muscle feels like. And that wasn't it.
It still is a muscle. Now she got me going to some, I can't even pronounce the word, a muscular something, I don't know, but I'm going to find out what the heck this is because it still feels, can I get a little personal here?
Yeah.
It feels like I'm wearing a 13-year-old's bra. It's so tight under there. It's like when I'll use a better example. When you have Thanksgiving dinner and your belt's too tight and you want to unloosen your belt, phew, I cannot unloosen this.
Yeah. So you still got that to deal with.
Yeah. But you know what? It could be worse. I'm okay. If this is the worst I had to live with for the rest of my life, I'm okay.
You're good. Yeah. I think that's one thing the pandemic has done is a whole lot less bra wearing.
The guys did not have to know that. The guys did not. Well, some of them you can really tell.
Information, right?
Well, no, some women you can really tell. It's unfortunate.
So funny, yeah. I do think we've all gotten a little more, casual in our.
Yeah, a little more casual. Even on camera, we're a little more casual.
Yeah, that's great.
So I love that you advocated for yourself. You're now encouraging other women to really pay attention to their body, step up, ask questions, demand certain things, because we only get one. We only get one body and we're kind of responsible for it. I'm wondering if I could shift gears a little bit. Okay. I've known you 27 years. I've seen you on stage 1,000 times. And you have this bodacious, fun, bubbly personality and this charisma. And so I see this in your life. I am wondering about this idea of a theme. Is this a theme in your life in general? Or is there a different theme that you sort of see throughout your life?
That's an awesome question. If you want to call it a theme, I'll take that. But I was brought up in a very happy home, and our dinner table was a comedy of not only heirs, comedians, etc. I mean, I don't want to take it away, but I could tell you story after story from years ago that happened, and everything had a humor to it. My father was a practical joker. And if it doesn't get hurt, it's okay. He bought a false thumb one time and it was all bloody and bandaged. And I came home and he's going, oh, there's blood. And it was horrible. And I'm crying my eyes out. Oh, Daddy, did you go to the hospital? He says, I didn't. Would you take it to them? And he takes it off. So I just been brought up with fun in my life, and then got Dick, and that was, it's just been something we were able to do. We don't take ourselves too seriously. Our kids are fun. They pretty much have the same mentality. I told my daughter years ago, Linda, if it's not fun, don't do it. So she stopped making her bed, doing the dishes, laundry. That's not what I meant, honey. You can't find, even with this COVID, I mean, there are silver linings, there are bright spots, there are people who salvage so much. Yes, there's terrible tragedies. Yes, we just happen to want to focus on the positive, and that's the way we live. Now, does SH happen to us? Of course it does.
Yeah.
So my mother had a wonderful saying, Rebecca, and I know you like these. Nancy, it's not the problem, it's how you handle it.
Mm-hmm.
So when the stuff hits the fan, I go, okay, this is here. Now, what do I do?
Yeah. That's about all.
So true. I mean, attitude is everything, really. I mean,
Yeah,
You
and
can curl up
you're
in a
right.
ball and mope about it, or you can, get on with it, really.
And that's interesting because when we moved to San Diego, Dick took me and a 6-year-old son away from his my 6-month-old son, I should say, away from his grandparents. And I've never been depressed in my life, but I could call that the closest time I was depressed, crying a lot. I miss my mother, miss my father, miss my friends, and nothing. So moved to San Diego as a young girl, and you don't know a soul, and you got a baby. It's not easy. Well, maybe today it's easier, but it wasn't 25, 30 years ago. So he comes in and he throws me a book on the bed one day. And it was by Dale Carnegie, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living.
Aw.
I'm not a reader. I didn't want to. So it's a kind of book you can open to any page. And the page that I happened to open it to was, what's the worst thing that can happen? And he lists that if you start with that, when the stuff hits the fan and you can say to yourself, what's the worst thing that can happen? Well, obviously death is the worst thing. Okay, I wasn't going to die because I was in San Diego. So I took that off the table. What's the next thing that can happen? I'll cry a lot. Well, that's a choice I made. I decided not to cry. So if you just go, and it's this book, we still give it to young kids because they go through things, they don't know how to handle them. They're in a whole different, and you and I sometimes don't even know how to handle their problems because it's different. And then you get well, you don't understand, you've never been in love, or you don't understand, you've never been fired from a job or whatever. You don't understand, mom, you don't understand, dad. So that book, to anybody who's going through anything right now, was one, Dale Carnegie, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living.
He wrote several good
Yes.
books, including How to Win Friends and Influence People. It was a great book on building relationship. And then the one you mentioned. But it is interesting that you took it to heart, that really this is the worst. Well, that's not so bad. And it kind of shifts our thinking in a different direction that says, this is just a thing and it's just a temporary thing.
And I can take care of it. Yeah. And
I can take care of it. I'm in control of my thoughts. I'm in control of my life. I may not be in control of that particular situation, but I am in control of my mind and
that we are in control of our mind. Absolutely. And just Dick and I we don't enjoy being around people who are down. We just don't enjoy it. I mean, negativity just does not, it is not part of our lifestyle. I mean, it's too hot, it's too cold, I'm too fat, I'm too thin, I'm too short, I'm too tall. Yeah. So we removed all those people from our lives many years ago. Now we don't have a lot of friends. We don't want to be, so we just make ourselves laugh. Now, do we ever, argue? Of course. Do we ever get momentarily down? Of course. But he always says, what's the worst thing that can happen? And when you look at it like that, and I wish I created that, I didn't. What's the worst thing that can happen? Okay, so they don't use me. That's the worst thing that can happen.
Right. Well, and I've had this talk with my children because being a blended family, each of us has been divorced. There's been struggle with that. You have people in your life who are not great for you or whatever. And talking about anger, we've had some experiences with people who are just constantly angry. And so I've talked to my kids. I don't want them to adapt to that or adopt it in their own lives. And so I'm like, it's okay to be situationally angry, but if you're generally angry, you've got something to work on. Like you've got to come to a decision where you say, okay, this is what it is. And what am I going to do about it? And let go of that lifestyle of anger. So it harkens to what you're saying, because I think sometimes, especially younger people, don't understand that it is a choice.
Oh, he's not dressed.
Oh, funny.
We don't want any naked men on our cameras.
No, he's not naked. He's just got you just come out this way.
Come on, you say hi, Dick.
Hi. Say hi, Dick. No, come around this way where the camera is. They can't see you.
Silly goose.
Come around.
We just heard about their fun lifestyle. We need to see what it looks like.
Here, just come over here.
Yeah, okay.
Push down, sit down. I mean, no, not on.
Hi, Dick.
That's Elizabeth. That's Rebecca.
Hi.
They're interviewing me.
Oh, good. Okay.
I go fix your hair, honey.
Yeah,
I'll go fix your hair.
looking for a number to come through.
Talk about hair. I gotta fix mine too.
You can have
That's good.
I apologize.
I love it.
Worries.
Good meeting you.
We're flexible.
Thank you.
Nancy, this attitude that you have, life needs to be fun. You're in control of your emotions and your thought. What do you do to create more fun in your life? You already mentioned you get rid of non-fun,
Yeah.
Debbie Downers in your life. But what do you do to create more fun in your life, in your family's life, and in your business? How do
I
you
don't know if
deliberately
this-
do that?
I don't know if this sounds conceited or what, but I learned it from my mother. I'm happy with myself.
Mhm.
Um,
I don't think that's conceited
Not
at all. I think that's aspirational.
Yeah.
I'm not, I can be happy. And she used to say that. I'm happy with myself. I can do a crossword puzzle. And I don't need a lot of people. I know that people think, oh, I'm a speaker and she goes out in front of 3,000 people, talks for 2 hours with no notes, Well, I told my husband, I said, you're really an introvert. I thought he wouldn't stop laughing. This will be good for your oracles.
Right.
I do think that because, I can be happy by myself. And I don't know that a lot of people can be.
Mhm.
It's just
Yeah.
something, do I need people? Of course. I don't like to drink alone. I need somebody to drink with. And I feel these Zoom, people are screaming yes or no or yes or no. I have made more LinkedIn friends with Zoom
Mhm.
that I plan to keep on relationships with both men and women. I think it's been a boon to networking if it's done right. If it's done right.
I think so too. I think that's been a big gift of the pandemic. But I want to mention you two are wearing a bunch of buttons. So one of the things I have seen you do in creating fun and in creating this positivity is send people, you sent us our masks, which we wore on our podcast recently.
You really here.
Yeah, and there it is. I was looking for, here's mine.
Oh, mine's in my purse.
Mine's right here.
Don't put it on upside down.
No, we don't want to frown, Elizabeth.
Exactly. So
Oh.
you put these things out into the world. So tell us about these buttons. There you go. See, I think when you put those things out into the world, you create the lifestyle and the energy that you want. So tell us about these buttons. I love them.
I like to share this. These buttons were done when we founded the company because our first video, which if you ever saw Telephone Doctor #1, you won't stop laughing. It's, you're talking 25, 30 years ago. I wore a mic here and I hit my chest and I went, kaboom, kaboom. Anyway, we created this because one of our lines is, it's fun to be good. And somebody says, why don't you make a button about that? And I said, that's a great idea.
Mhm.
So it's fun to be good because when you're good, you start having more fun.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting out there saying, well, I'm a good person, you'll start having fun.
I think it's the reverse too. I think it's the reverse too.
Mhm.
It's good to have fun. It's good to be fun. It's good, I think it's both directions. It's fun to be good. It's good to be fun.
Well, what bothers me is people who draw the line in the sand and they say, this is not a fun topic. This is a serious topic. Yeah. Well, if you can't find something not humorous, but delightful, etc. Even if somebody says, Nancy, what about death? What about death? Do I have time for a quick story?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
It's really I'm not watching the clock. That's your job, Elizabeth.
Right.
Okay.
I'm on it.
You need to listen carefully because I didn't think I was going to tell this story, but it's really perfect about how even in death you can have some fun. So a very dear friend of ours passed away way too young, 61 years old. This was a few years ago. And he's Catholic. I want you to remember the name, Jim Van Camp, Catholic.
Mhm.
They had 7 kids and all 7 kids had 7 kids. So when we went to the wake, and I had never been to a wake, they made up their own group of 50 and then
Right.
big wake. And I had never been to a wake. And about 9 o'clock, everybody says, okay, we're going to go around the casket and say a prayer. And I said to Dick, what do I do? He's just stand there. Just don't make a scene. Okay. So I stand there and the priest comes over in front of the casket and everybody's standing around and the priest is reading the prayer book. He's just a little bit north of 90. And he's reading, his hands were shaking, he was stuttering and stumbling. And Dick says to me, go help him. Me? Yes. And so I looked at the widow, I said, yes, go. All right, so I went to the father, I said, may I read that for you? And oh, he was so grateful. So I opened the prayer book and I'm reading. Jim Van Camp Nancy Friedman, Jewish. Dear Lord, please help the N family. The N family needs your guidance. The N family loves you. The N family this and the N family this. And I look up and the Van Camps are laughing. The whole group is laughing. And I said, well, that's strange. We cry at our funerals. Okay. So the N family this. And finally, one of the kids came and said, forget it. He's gone. Goodbye. I didn't realize that N dash line means insert name.
Oh.
Insert name.
So I read the N family.
Oh,
To this
that's
day, when I see the kids and we do, they go, hey, Nancy, how's the N family? So that wake became one of the highlights of their lives.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, if you've ever seen Steel Magnolias, Dolly Parton says, laughter through tears is my favorite emotion. I mean, that resonates,
Absolutely.
you know?
And laughter is my drug of choice.
Yeah.
I've never tried marijuana. Yes, vodka, yes, but I've never had any drug outside of what they give you in the hospital. I've never been addicted to anything. And do I always feel like laughing? Not always. You know, there's times I'd like to be serious, but it doesn't last long.
Mm-hmm. You can get back to that because that's your baseline.
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way, but you're right. That's who I am. I don't make excuses for it.
Well,
Yeah.
you shouldn't. I think it's a lovely attitude that you have and you've been able to carry with you. So tell us how that attitude works into working with your family, because you work not only with your husband, but with your children as well, right?
Our son and our daughter. It is not for everybody. And I tell them that. Dick has the greatest line. Somebody asked him, gee whiz, he said something else, but he said, you work with each other 24/7, 365, you eat together, you sleep together, you work together. How did you do it? And without missing a beat, Dick says, we didn't know it shouldn't work.
Yeah.
Right.
And we started out young. We've had 5 startups, 2 radio stations, advertising company, something in between that we shouldn't even call a startup, and then Telephone Doctor. And each one was born out of an idea, a thought, very little planning. Isn't that strange?
Yeah.
Very little, there was some, but today, you know, if somebody talks about a spreadsheet, I think they're talking about something on my body. I don't know.
Spreadsheet.
And yet that's important. It just, you know, we've always worked together. It works for us. There are guidelines that you got to talk about ahead of time.
Well, what are those guidelines? Because I was going to ask you, do you have a lot of crossover between personal and business? Is there a separation? Do you treat each other differently at work than you do at home? How do you?
All 4 of us, all 4 are by our first name. My son came and 20 some odd years ago, he wanted to work for us. And I said, we have an issue here. Number 1, you got to work a year somewhere else. You must work a year somewhere else, because working with your family is not all the fun you think it is. There are issues. We just don't care. We don't carry them home. You know, we don't carry our family stuff to the office. So you go work somewhere. And he did. And he came in, he said, I'm ready. I want to work here. I said, okay, here's the deal. If you work with us, I'm 9 to 5, I'm Nancy. And then at 5 o'clock when we go home, I'm Mom.
Mhm.
Can you deal with that? He's, well, let me try. Let me give it a shot. Well, he's done it. He's done a great job. If you said to him, how's your mom? He would say, who?
Yeah.
I mean, it's been Nancy for so many years between Linda and David, my kids. He is now president of Telephone Doctor, serviceskills.com, which is our e-learning platform, and done a tremendous job. Linda is vice president of client services. She does a tremendous job. Because we all grew up at that same table, we know our personalities.
Yeah.
And we know what ticks them off.
Mhm.
You know, like interruptions. There's a perfect example. I'm an interjector. Rebecca, there's not,
Interjector.
yeah,
An interrupter, an interjector.
That's a great one.
well, an interjector allows you to finish. An interrupter never does.
Oh.
That's look under Nancy Friedman's definition.
There you go. I like it.
That's a good way to distinguish, though.
Well, you can interject and then say, please continue. But Dick calls it, he says, you really interrupt people, Nancy. You don't mean to. He says, your mind, you know, being a high I, my mind is like, oh, I want to agree with you. And I agree with you. And I don't want to take the story away by any means. Where was I on this?
About interruptions and
Oh, we were talking about pushing each other's buttons.
Yeah, and so both my son and my husband really get annoyed when I go, hey, and I always say, got a minute? Not really. What do you need? Oh, when you're in a better mood, you better do it now.
yeah.
But we play off each other's humor.
Mhm.
Is everything 100% perfect? Probably not. I'm just blessed, I guess, and we're certainly not. What do they call those people who are so perfect? As Stepford wives or something?
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I guess we can agree and have fun doing it. I mean, there's certain words we don't use. I just didn't allow them in the house. I can't even tell you what they are because I said it once to them. But there's certain words that have never come out of my mouth, never will.
Mm-hmm.
It won't come out of there. You want to hear one?
What?
I guess it's hard for me to say it. They're not dirty words. When somebody tells you, I can't even say it. I'm going to say it fast. When somebody tells a person to shut up.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think that's the first time I've ever said that.
Well, it's disrespectful,
It's a lot of things, Elizabeth, but it's yeah. So
words are powerful, especially in that situation. It doesn't encourage dialogue. It doesn't suggest acceptance or approval or love in any way.
Absolutely.
Shape, or form. And if you're working with family, how to say it, there you go. If you're working with family in particular, those kinds of words can shut off creativity, can shut off contribution, and it also blocks any kind of connection. So you're right. Why even use those words when it does nothing but put up barriers?
And the other words I was never allowed to say, so the kids don't say it, is the word can't.
Mm-hmm.
They would say, I didn't ask you to fly, Nancy. Tell me you won't. Tell me you don't know how. Tell me you don't want to, but don't you tell me you can't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So in using these kinds of words in your dialogue, how do you resolve conflicts? Because evidently you have boundaries about what's acceptable. You're not going to say shut up in the middle of a conflict. You're going to say what?
Oh, how to tell somebody quiet?
Well, no, if you're in conflict with someone, what tools do you use to resolve that when you're working with your family? Because you're not going to shut them down.
Right.
What are you going? How do you as a family dynamic resolve conflict?
That's not coming quick to me. We don't have a lot of conflict.
Yeah.
And that, again, I don't mean to sound like Pollyanna. It's just, we're shoulder to shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
In most cases. Now, sometimes the kids have an idea that don't fit in with an adult, with a parent's plans,
Mm-hmm.
but they have the right to that. And normally they are right. I mean, it's ahead, they're ahead of the times already. So we listen to them. And I do think that's an issue. Sometimes parents don't want to listen to their kids. And as they grow older, it's far more important.
Agreed. And it sounds to me like you've created a culture within your family and your business, since they are kind of one and the same,
right?
Where there is mutual respect. You recognize that they have value to bring. They recognize that you have value to bring. And when you see that in each other, that does minimize conflict, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it. All four of us, none of us like conflict. Some people thrive on that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some are drama queens, that thrive on conflict, and none of us like it because we all just end up, I can't think of anything big right now, but there's always enough, I apologize if I hurt your feelings. Because that's all it is when you have family conflicts, you hurt somebody's feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah. I know there's no horror stories behind us, and sometimes that's goody two shoes, but we've been very lucky. We've been very lucky. My son wrote my eulogy. And I said, why are you giving me my eulogy now? And you know what he said? It's beautifully written. He says, I've been to so many funerals where the son or the daughter gets up and says beautiful things. And everybody says, it's too bad you didn't tell him or her when they were living.
Wow.
And I want you to know how I feel now.
That's
That's
beautiful.
so true. That's such a nice thing that he did for you.
It is. I put it in the Bible so he can read it in 15, 20 years whenever. they
Right.
come.
Well, you know,
Wonderful.
Nancy, I was debating whether to ask you this question or not, but since you brought that up, what is your succession plan? Are your children going to take over when you slow down?
Um, they asked Gregory Peck, Mr. Peck, remember Gregory Peck?
Mhm.
When are you going to retire? And his answer is, what would I do?
Right.
So we don't have a plan. David is running the company now. Linda is so good at what she does, handling the client success team. Will there ever be another telephone doctor?
Right.
We've talked about that. And I said, years ago, people say, what are you going to do if something happens to you? I said, they'll find somebody. But now it's been sort of decided there probably won't be the name, the telephone doctor. It's sort of like Kentucky Fried Chicken, Colonel Sanders. There's
Mhm.
not another Colonel Sanders. There's not another Tom Peters. There's not another Tom Hopkins. There's not, you have people who have been a brand, shall we say,
Yeah.
and we're proud of that. So the company can go on, although Service Skills is now, Telephone Doctor is the parent company. And then Service Skills, which is the online platform, and Nancy running around doing fun things, is just part of that. But maybe that's part of our success. We've never sat down and said, now who's going to take over when the old broad dies?
Well,
What's
it's
going to
kind of a
happen here?
morbid question, but it's an interesting thing. Our next issue of the magazine is about legacy. And clearly you're leaving a legacy through your business and your children are coming up and that's going to continue. But I do think we all think about what's going to happen when we do either decide to slow down or are forced to.
Right. Forced would be probably the worst for me. But I worry more, believe it or not, Rebecca and Elizabeth, I worry more about our content living.
Oh, yeah.
Our content is spectacular. It's good. It's effective. It's helped thousands, hundreds of thousands of companies, franchises and non-corporate America do better, help the ROI. It's not a pitch for it. It just,
Right.
so therefore everybody in our office lives and breathes telephone doctor mentality. And
Well, but to that point, and we need to kind of wrap up because of time, but to that point, just like Colonel Sanders and Amos Cookies, they're leaving a recipe behind or passing it on. Your content is that recipe that can live forever, right? That is the legacy. Even when Nancy chooses to step off the stage, the recipe for customer service success is in the content that was created by the telephone
and
doctor.
that, I have every belief because the kids are adamant about it. I mean, their kids, my grandkids used to call me up and say, you should hear how this lady treated us. They're aware. I mean,
Calling to the telephone doctor.
yeah, she was like tattletelling on this company. You should go in there and talk to him. I said, I did that once. I'm not doing that again.
Oh, that's so
Enough
funny.
of that.
And as we move on through life, the delivery system may change with technology or whatever, but the message that you have established will always stay the same. So that's how you're going to live in your legacy, I think.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It has been a fun ride.
Yeah.
It's been a fun ride. So if someone wants to get hold of you, Nancy, to learn how to have a fun-filled life or to learn more about customer service and telephone doctor, how would they get hold of you?
Oh, I'm so surprised you asked. Okay. Well, where to start? NancyFriedman.com, Friedman is about me. ServiceSkills.com is about the e-learning platform, and that's Service Skills with an S.com. It's a boutique, unique platform. There are platforms out there that have 5,000 series. We only have 15 series, 150 modules. Telephone doctor series is there. We've got mentoring, management, internal, external. There's 15 separate series. Our mission has been to stay within our wheelhouse. And that's a whole nother topic, but people come and say, oh, can you put something out on time management? I need time management. How am I going to write about it?
I'm not going to teach that.
We stick with sales, customer service, and communication skills. And that's what we do best. And it's like a surgeon. I mean, you wouldn't ask the brain surgeon to operate on your foot. He doesn't know about the foot.
Right.
So I'm not going to go I can Google anything anybody else can and say, oh yeah, we could do a program on that, but it just never happened and I never would do that.
Good for you. Good for you.
You
Thank
guys
you,
are very
Nancy.
good. Thank you. You're
Thank
very
you
good
so
at what you
much.
do.
Yeah.
Spending time with us. We really enjoyed having you. We'll have you back another time in the future to talk about some of these other ideas you have. So thanks again.